Now, help me out, this may be a stupid question, but assuming that we're dealing with a certain level of public trust resources, water, uh, where in your planning how do you allocate that based on, there's obviously a sustainable yield number, you wouldn't want to take it all the way to the top, but are you like saying, okay, we need to have 10 million something left over, or how does that fit into this graph right here, your planning?
Well, in a sense, yeah, we want to stay definitely below designation. That's the first one.
Sure.
The second thing is going back to the chart with how everything comes together. We are really not to say I'm bailing out, but we really need to realize where all the other plans are and what they mean and who's responsible for using, providing that information, doing the technical thing, because, and it goes back to the water resource protection plan, that we are basing it on the water resource protection plan, that we're using it within what was defined. And the science that we've been hearing is that the sustainable yield may be slipping upwards. We don't know, but in any case, where it is now, it appears that they were fairly safe. Not as safe as Hilo, not as safe as.
But is there a number? You say,
cushion?
Okay, I need to keep 10 left over, because I don't know the science, we don't know exactly.
Yeah, well,
we know we need something, we don't want to take the pumpkins
Yes.
all the way up.
Yeah, some of the other things that we're cranking in there are, this Native Hawaiian priority, which includes DHHL, which we've done work with. We've done some work with DHHL. The DHHL, I think yesterday they might have had a hearing about requesting allocation of water.
The landlord meeting on Friday.
Some 3.4 or 3.5 MGD. I'm looking at Jonathan, I think are you involved with that? No.
Not on that issue.
Oh, okay. But we did work with DHHL to see, some, that, like, for instance, that one is not in the allocated,
But right now, you don't have an idea, we can't take it beyond there because we don't know, and let's say we go over 30. Is that gonna make, all of a sudden, we got public trust resource issues that are at stake? Because, it's the commission that defines sustainable yield.
Correct.
And we're struggling probably as well, because we don't know exactly.
I think what we gotta do is go back to where we are,
Yeah.
and then how things are progressing, and how, just monitor the growth and activity, so that you keep track. I mean, we got the pumpage record, we know how much they're pumping, and things like this don't happen like that. Almost never, because.
But you had like a max build-out number. Do you
No,
have
but
a number that's
no,
like,
but when
we're not
see,
going
I think
past
that's the biggest heat that I get about this full build out scenario. But I said, I say that, and I continue to say that the idea was to identify non-sensitive areas, because that gives you ample cushion, I believe. Right. So we know that 70% plus of the island is in really good shape. And then these other 30% or so areas need to be looked at carefully. And I think this action and even our plan did bring people together to begin to realize that we gotta look at it carefully. And that's why, going through all this with the authorized plan use, making sure they're tracking water credits, water approvals. So right now, as you can hear, it can be, it moves relatively slowly to do this infill. It doesn't occur, like a big spike that occurs over a year or so. It's gonna be a trend that needs to be tracked. And that's, I hope that's an answer for you, but basically it needs to be tracked, it needs to be regulated, and the county planning and, to go through all the permitting, that's really where it needs to be looked at carefully. And I think right now we have that commitment. Yes.
So thank you for your presentation. It's really interesting. I had a question about the term sensitive and non-sensitive. Is that a legal term, a common sense term, a
The-
kind of in-house term?
Right now, it's a common sense term. It was
Okay.
better than problem and
What is-
non-problem. But realistically, it's not a problem thing because,
Problem for whom? Or-
no, but what I mean that's a typical thing you hear, right? Problem, non-problem. Because something that didn't pass a line is a problem and the one that passed the line was non-problem. But sensitive, meaning it needs to be looked at carefully by the county.
So it's a way for the county to prioritize what's important.
Correct.
And what's kind of priority versus not.
Well,
higher versus
again,
lower
yeah,
priority,
we're
but
looking
it's
at,
not a
we're looking
legal-
at doing more detailed study, and, the county gotta fund it, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's not a problem per se, but if I had to spend my money on preventative or precautionary measures, I would spend my money on these sensitive areas. So, what we try to do, again, using the same yardstick on the whole island, trying to measure each one kind of objectively, and see which ones, with some kind of, order of magnitude, knowing what is higher priority than others, you can use that as a basis for, getting funding, maybe from the county council, to explain that this is why we're doing work in this area.
Thank you.
Yeah, did you do the 2010 what up?
Yes.
Are you doing the 2000 whatever update?
2014, yeah, we're gonna do 2014.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna be doing that, so you're.
Right. This is, yeah, we're looking at it as more like an evolution, going into more detail.
So, I'm at 210 now, what up? What was new wells were planned to be drilled and exploited by BWS?
What wells?
Yeah, what new sources were you projecting to add into the system?
Oh, yeah, the actual development, of facilities was actually part of their long-range plan, which is a CIP document. What we were trying to do is get a handle on land use policies and planning, so that the Department of Planning and Department of Water Supply come together when applications come in.
So in the water use and development, plan, you didn't have any,
Development schedule, no.
how many wells have been, new sources, and how much, new water was,
In
has
our,
been created and is projected to be
we
created?
didn't project the development of wells to come on board, because oftentimes that's, is, ownership and, economically driven. For example, if, some of them may have a requirement, I'll give you a theoretical example, where a parcel wants to proceed with a development, and they got some authorization, conditional authorization, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a conditional approval to proceed with the development, but one of the conditions is that they gotta develop a well. And that's not unusual, right? And they gotta go through the process of drilling a safe well that would meet all the commission's requirements to get permits, and then have that being committed to by the landowner. If the landowner sees that his development is going nowhere, he's not gonna put it online, see? That's why, the ones that the county can control, where they find needs, they'll put it on their CIP program.
But so you're dependent 100% on the developers providing all new sources?
I don't think it's 100%.
I see people behind you nodding.
No, that's not correct. Where would the department say, no, it's not correct, I don't know who those guys are.
No,
Yeah, otherwise you guys wouldn't need any CIP, right?
yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
It's a combination.
That's your long-term plan. They have a water plan?
Okay, should I
Sure.
ask, so what new sources have you, has the county developed or intends to develop in the next few years over there?
Yeah, so I guess,
Oh,
Yeah, introduce yourself, I'm sorry for,
yeah, I don't know if I need a mic or anything, but anyway.
Here,
yeah, it's better if you don't.
What do you sit right next to?
sit me.
Yeah, and Kurt, be close. Yeah, so I guess that's what we were planning to do. My name's Keith Okamoto. I'm the deputy at the Department of Water Supply. So yeah, I think that's part of the questions that we needed to respond to you folks. And first of all, thank you for you guys' patience. I know we got it to you folks just yesterday. So we also kind of wanted to take this time to, maybe go over some of these responses if you guys had any questions. But one of those, so it's a combination, Mr. Starr, is we do our own CIP for source development, and we also partner with private entities when needed to help develop sources in our systems. So for us, I believe you can refer to question number 8, I believe. Okay, so number 8, it says the county's annual budget for new source development in each of the last, in our November 18th letter. Thank you, Mr. Tam. I believe it's on page 3. So I think that may help answer your question, Mr. Starr. For the past 10 years was approximately 3.6 annually. It's not that we do one every year, but it was about 36 mil over the past 10 years. And in 5 years going forward, we estimate, or we have budgeted another maybe 15, close to 16 mil, of which, and this was island-wide, not just in Keauhou, yeah? So of which 8.3 in the Keauhou Aquifer area. And I guess since we're on the subject, maybe we can refer also to, I think there was a question on how much does it cost for the department to develop approximately a 1 million gallon per day well, and that's answered in question 9. So including planning, hiring good people, environmental requirements, things like that, and a storage tank and a pertinent facilities, piping, control buildings, electrical, things like that, is about 7.5 mil. And certain assumptions, Helco got to be there. If we got to build a new substation, that's additional costs as well. I don't know, does that help?
So, since, the last planning horizon, I guess that's 2010, how many wells have you developed in the Keauhou area by BWS?
Since 2010, yeah, that one might have been just before. Yeah. Well, yeah, Waiaha was before that. Yeah, so Keauhou, I guess we had, the one you guys went to and you guys got to climb onto the tank?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only one since 2010 that actually the department on our own outfitted. And just a little background on that, we didn't drill the exploratory. That one was started as another public-private partnership with Haseko at the time. So they drilled the hole, cased it, but like I think was mentioned several times, that's why we don't have definite timeframes, because a developer decides, what they want to do. And in that case, they went so far and they called it quits. But, we decided to
So the
finish it
answer
off.
is none, actually, because a private developer drilled it, but they went bust.
Well, I'm not sure if they went bust or decided to focus on some other things, but they didn't have a commitment to outfit it beyond just the exploratory. So we decided to do that portion. Yeah.
How many do you have that you expect to drill in the next, say, 5 years?
Yeah, so I think that goes to,
We don't know if we're working on the kid community school.
yeah, no, so yeah, but, yeah, we do have, again, referring back to our answer to question 8, I think we have 8.3 million budgeted for the Keauhou Aquifer. We don't have a specific location or a specific location in mind at this point, but we wanted to, just have some funding available should we decide that there's a need. We are, again, partnering with Kamehameha Schools and some other private developers in working together for source development. One is the Palani well with Lanihau Partners, and the other one is a cow well that's above the Palamanui development.
Those are for no development.
Correct.
So, are there any of your wells, exhibiting, say, high chlorides or upconing or change in transition zone or any other aspects that might create any concern?
Yeah, actually, we do. I think we also, again, thank you for coming over on the 9th. So the first site that we went to, Keauhou Shaft, is our source that's notorious for chlorides, and that's why.
Basil
Yeah.
source.
So again, just to explain, for us, we have 12 sources currently in operation in the aquifer. 6 are high level, 6 are basal. So all the basal ones, basically, that's the freshwater lens floating on the salt water. And then the high levels, we have no problems with chlorides, obviously. Of the basal ones, there are 4 that we have some chloride issues, which is why we're trying to further utilize the high level sources rather than, and we're trying to reduce our dependency on the basal sources.
Sorry, 4 out of 6, is that right?
Actually, yeah, of our basal sources, actually have some chloride concerns. Yeah, we have a couple that are fairly good, even if they're basal. Yeah.
What's the maximum chlorides that you provide when you provide water to your customers?
250.
I think our max, yeah, is in the blended ones coming out of Keauhou Shaft area. I think is about 250 that we actually take to distribution because we blend Keauhou Shaft with the fresher water.
What's the highest you've seen coming out of Keauhou Shaft?
Oh, above 300 chlorides. Yeah.
Above
Parts per million.
Above 300 or above 400?
400 might be a few instances. I think what needs to be noted is also some of that information was misrepresented because we have chlorides is not a regulated contaminant. It's an aesthetic contaminant. So what we do on our own with our water quality staff is we go and sample, and what we've taken is actual grab samples down in the shaft, and those will tend to be higher. And those are something that we keep, and I think some of those was misreported in the petition, and we intend to clarify those numbers.
Okay,
Yeah.
are they misrepresented in your reporting?
No. Yeah, one thing to clarify on the reporting is we have those those monthly well pumping reports. Some of those chloride numbers are obsolete, so we attached a table behind that. Yeah, and those are more current chloride numbers.
So the ones that show 410 and stuff like
Yeah.
that, those are 420, I mean, those are misreported, or?
No. Those are what's coming out of the shaft, but that's not what we're distributing to the customers. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, we blend that.
Sorry, so if we look at this modeling, we've talked about projecting in terms of population increase. Can you give me a sense, I think because I like the circles, concentric circles. How many circles are represented in that growth? I guess I'm still trying to figure out.
Oh, you mean back to the other?
Yeah, back to the slide 9.
Yeah.
And you know how you said,
This
you know,
one.
if you're on the CDP, you have a little bit easier time, but you're still dependent on your water, right, in terms of.
Oh, yeah, not just water, it's the whole
I know those
regulatory.
3 that Mr. Keauhou had
At
mentioned.
least, yeah,
Yeah.
at least, yeah.
But, so when we're in our projections, how many of those are included or not included?
Right now, in the projections are the ones in blue. Oh, the projections, I'm sorry. For authorized planned use, you know that, this one?
Yeah,
This, I think is green, yeah, green line.
Green, yep.
This green line includes the blue crosshatch areas generally, or some of those parcels anyway, okay? So that's the number 20 MGD. The growth outside or within these circles gonna be dependent on them also getting regulatory approval, including water possibly,
Yeah,
yeah.
but so try to go to the next slide, sorry. So,
This
little
number
bit
here.
colorblind too, so I don't know if that's pink or orange or
Yeah,
red, but
yeah.
maybe it's purple, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
So how
Something
many
like that.
circles are represented in that purple line?
No, this, okay, the methodology used in the original 2010, that's what this is doing, yeah. Because as I mentioned, we don't have current population projections that go beyond 2020. But what we had projected here is utilizing the growth rate, and the assumption there was that activity, in that particular region would parallel water use and parallel population growth. In other form, more people come in, your activity level gonna remain similar to what's there at this point in time. And therefore, when we look at the current water use, it would mirror
that.
that same rate of growth. Okay, we might need to look a little bit more careful about that because of these extremely high users that we're finding. Example, airport. Example, that agricultural park. Example, Nelha, yeah. I think those by themselves might be over 2 or 3 million gallons per day, the water consumption. Is that right?
Yeah.
1.5, 2, around there. Anyway, those are substantial users of water that you wouldn't expect. You're not gonna get another airport, and then I think state ag should look at it and say, is this water short area appropriate to have an agricultural park, right? No, I mean, those are the kinds of, that's what this thing is bringing up, right? It's trying to make land use decisions based on the availability of some resource. So, that's why, we're stepping back and looking at activity, what activity is parallel with per capita growth. Maybe some hotels, but even the hotels, whether they're gonna continue to put more hotels, because hotels are another big user of water.
I guess I'm still trying to figure out though, if it's in a approved plan, where those water credits come from.
Oh, okay,
If they
no,
haven't
no.
been approved already, or
No, but
I
it-
still don't,
but that's
maybe have I
your-
not seen it? Is it reflected on one of your
No,
guys' slides?
it's
What
not,
water credits are committed up to?
yeah, it's not on this graph though. This graph is based on population growth and projected increase in water use. Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay, but when
maybe
you go
just to-
back to these,
Yeah.
okay, this is the existing, these are the you see the shaded ones, right? These are the existing parcels that have water service or are already developed.
That filling them in is gonna rise you up to the 20 MGD?
Well, this particular graph,
Really?
would be closer to the 14.5 that you're currently pumping.
Yeah. So maybe going back to that black graph, John, the one,
Yeah, the dark
the
one.
dark one, yeah, so.
Yeah, so what we're saying is that red pattern kind of corresponds with where we are now. That's the current water usage.
But that green dashed one, Mr. Beamer, that is what we're calling the authorized plan use. That is the one that incorporates water commitments,
The ones that,
yeah, so,
so far, that's the blue areas, yeah.
And
This
again,
one.
that's a snapshot for where we are right now.
Correct. That's
It
what,
seems like the authorized plan use is somewhat of a moving target based on the economy and water, so we don't know what the authorized plan use.
actually,
is
no,
gonna be in the
I guess just to
future?
clarify, that is what, yeah, exactly, that is what it is now. So we just flatlined it out because that's all we have information for. That's what has land use, authorized land use, whether it be zoning, subdivision, as well as has a water commitment. So it has those two components. So if they wanted to proceed, it was just a matter of,
I think that's an important point, so if you go back to the graph and repeat that for commission members, so the green line, which is the authorized plan use,
right,
already has zoning
yep,
and already has
water commitments,
Okay, okay.
correct.
Already has zoning and already has water.
but they're not built out.
Yeah, but it's,
But
yeah,
may not-
that's
But we
the,
don't know how fast, how quickly or slowly they'll be filling out.
So we're there, in other words, we're there, we're at the green line.
That's where the commitment is.
Yeah.
no, that's not
Oh,
where
It's
we're,
not, it's not built.
It's not
but
used.
Pumped right now.
no, yeah.
No, it's not
The
pumped right
beginning point of the sloping
This
graph.
is where,
is where we're at
you are
now.
now. This is where you are now. That's the existing.
Yeah,
And you need to clarify that the 14.5 is where you are now.
Yeah, where we are now.
everything was to go that is authorized, then you would approach the 20.
Correct.
So what you can also look at this graph to kind of help you visualize maybe is that if the rate of growth follows that slope line, and we have that flat line, which is the authorized planned use, that point of intersection is maybe about year 2028, 2027, let's say. That's if nobody else was able to get any more commitments or any more water units. Based on the anticipated growth, those three different slope lines, then we think we may approach that 20 mil, which includes the authorized plan use around 2027, 2028. That's the guesstimate anyway.
Do you have any maps that,
Mr. Chair, I apologize. I have to teach. You still have quorum. May I leave?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry. This is the
no-
best part, though.
Don't feel guilty, there'll be no vote today, so.
Okay. Your water bottle. Yeah, I'll get it. Thanks.
we recently did, the Maui Island plan, and I was a little bit involved with that. There we created, maps for each of the community areas with a hard and fast urban growth boundary. And basically, in the planning horizon, there would be not, would not be any dense growth outside of that. And so that limited and gave us a population, a max population number for each area, and, also a max, square footage area. Do you have anything like that,
No.
from your, CDP process?
The CEP, you have one? Okay.
It's in the CDP,
But,
The urban,
Grab a chair.
And before you ask that question, I have to actually address the STAR staff, so I'm going to, I'd like to want the two senior members of the board to jump in. Who's gonna take the gavel while I'm gone, or are you okay with me just passing it here? 'Cause I'll get, so, you have the gavel while I go address staff.
You be back?
I'll be back.
I'll let you answer this, and I'll let other commissioners have some space. But, urban growth boundaries and the population numbers that go along, maximum population numbers that goes along with it, that maximum build out.
Correct, that's in the Kona CDP. So maybe you can
Back to the-
show the graphic. That one doesn't have it, you gotta go back a little bit. It's probably on mine. Yeah, it's probably on the handouts that I gave you that articulate the urban growth boundaries for the Kona CDP. The Kona CDP is more than just, this corridor. It's comprised of the urban growth boundary and everything else within the North Kona district.
but keep in mind, Edwin, that we are working with them to, some of the data is still coming in. So, yeah, been working on it for a couple months now.
Are there numbers that track it? I know on Maui we have exact numbers, what the maximum.
Yeah, I think I would defer to Dwayne.
might never happen, but at this point, I don't see there's a cap. The cap is based on what the concurrence issue. There's plenty of land that's zoned, but strictly, can they get the permits and can they get the water?
I guess, yeah, so I guess, there's several caps, I guess, if you wanna call them caps. Right now, all we have is what we, think is the authorized planned use, is that 20 million gallons per day dashed green line, cause that's all that has, authorized planning approvals and in line with that water commitments. So if they don't have that, they're not as far as we're concerned, authorized to proceed.
Okay, but,
might have some plans and some ideas.
okay, but just say that the water code, authorized plan use is the use or projected use.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and so, and it's not, I don't know, maybe, Mr.
Right.
Tam, there's no time frame on that, or?
Except you gotta read it all the way through, right? It
By a
says,
development yeah.
that has received the proper state land use designation and
And
county
county.
development plan, community plan.
Right.
If I may, I
Yeah,
think,
Commissioner Pavel,
I
go ahead.
think if you use the word projective literally, every aquifer in the state would be designated. If you just use it literally, projected, because you can project anything. But you need to clarify it by what Mr. Kanula said, which is, as defined by, whatever.
Okay, we don't really wanna have
Yeah,
back
actually,
and
I think
forth
I-
on
I
this
crossed
today,
the
but
line, I think.
we'll,
I'm sorry.
we'll have time for that, but, Commissioner Pavel, any other?
No?
No, I'm okay, sorry.
I appreciate you guys following up and,
Actually, if you don't mind,
Yeah.
there was some other things that we wanted to share, because, thank you again for this opportunity, and, we have some time. So we wanted to share some, we think, valid information with you folks, that hopefully can help with your decision-making. And one of them is, maybe going back to what Mr. Buck had touched upon, is the public trust. So, I guess that's where and you asked a question about collaboration as well. And we just want to share with you that we are in continual collaboration, especially with your staff. As far as, if they give an indication to us that we may be in trouble somewhere, we'll definitely acknowledge that. For an example, in Keauhou, there's a source, and just through informal discussions with staff, they said, hey, maybe you should keep this one below 2 million gallons per month. So we said, hey, okay, we'll respect that. I guess what I'm trying to say is, that's normally how we do business. We talk with, Roy guys, Neil, Paul. It's not just we're doing our own thing over there. We know you guys have a certain level of responsibility, and we respect that. So we want to be in communication. We don't want to hide anything from them. We want to be as open with them as possible, so they can help us make decisions that we need to make. Also, I think there was some questions about conservation in the area. So if you don't mind, I would like to kind of expand on that a little bit.
Sure.
So beyond conservation, actually, our department has what we kind of call unaccounted water program. Yeah, so it's beyond just detecting leaks. Matter of fact, Kona was one of the first systems that we kind of took a look at. So first things first is we got rid of some of our old flow meters at our sources. We put in more accurate, more reliable mag meters. And part of that too is so we can communicate with your staff and give them the accurate information that's being pumped out of the ground. So that's one thing. We wanted to have accurate information that we could provide to, regulatory agencies, so they could help us make better decisions. So unaccounted also means, okay, so we're not actually measuring it as accurately as we should, right? And some of that also means sometimes when the pump gets called on, it's automated by the tank level. So if the communication is faulty and the thing doesn't tell the pump to shut off when the tank is full, we're kind of dumping water too. So we went through a infrastructure system analysis to remedy that. We also looked at our purge times. Typical pump operations require that you purge a few minutes before you put it into the tank. Just because there's some turbidity issues, things will settle at the bottom of the well. Could be soil, could be small rust particles from the casing, whatnot. So we dump some water first before we put it into the tank. We don't have a meter on that, but we can time it. So we've reduced those purge times by monitoring turbidity. The commission has well construction standards, which define how to properly construct a well. So we've gone beyond that, and because of some of these issues, we've our new internal Department of Water Supply standard is to put the lower portion as stainless steel. So, we can minimize the rust and reduce purge times, as well as have hopefully longer life in our sources. So, and on top of that, what else? Unaccounted water, yeah, we do have a leak detection program, so we have permaloggers in place. One of the key reasons for that is Kona is a high energy use system because all the sources are pumped. They're pumped to quite high elevations. So if we're losing any, we want to try and remedy that. So I think Kona was our first system too, yeah, that we installed. Where's Kurt? I see Kurt. That we installed those leak detection permaloggers. And we do recognize that we have some large users, so what we want to do is we want to kind of, besides our normal conservation efforts, we've been doing education in our classrooms. We think educating our youth is one of the ways to go. We also intend to somehow target these high users in the aquifer system and see if we can work with them individually, see if we can get them to see if there's other ways where they can minimize their dependency on our system and see if there's alternate sources of water for them. A big one is Nelha. What else?
Do you also have a pipeline replacement program?
Yeah, we do. It's built into our capital improvement. But, as you know, Kona is one of our newer ones. So the pipelines in Kona are fairly in good condition versus some of the other ones, Hamakua side, Hilo side, Puna side. But yeah, we do. We also have identified some tanks. We've inherited some tanks that need to be replaced. So all of this, I think Ms. Antolini had asked a question about sensitive and non-sensitive. And I think what John was trying to say is if we all get limited resources, we need to try and use our money wisely, focus our resources wisely, whether it be funds or manpower or efforts or whatever. So part of that is identifying where we should focus our resources. And so this is one component. We have other things we got to do too. So, but anyway, we felt necessary to share some of that stuff with you folks as well.
Okay, members, yeah.
Just a comment, and I appreciate all that, and this is gonna be, you'll hear it from me every meeting, is that you guys should be major players in protecting the forested watersheds that are providing all the water.
Yeah.
And so you have all these watershed partnerships set up, and I would strongly encourage you to be a little more active in participating within protecting the forested watersheds.
Yeah.
The high-level water table is where, when I first started, we put a lot of those lands in forest preserve.
Yeah,
They were in pasture, and a lot of people thought we were crazy.
I think we heard your
And
message.
We should have done that, so that's just a paid political announcement from Michael Buck.
Yeah, and we're trying to, Mr. Buck, yeah, we're trying to schedule some meetings with the Three Mountain Alliance, was it?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a small amount compared to the value of the water.
Yeah, no, we hear you, that's for sure.
Commissioner Powell, anything more to say? Commissioner Beaver?
No.
Anything else from?
No, I just want to thank you again for having us here. And then, I just want to reiterate that, we're strongly opposed to the designation. And, in efforts to be good neighbors as far as our water resource, we're open to collaboration with our stakeholders, including the National Park Service. And, again, I just want to end that, we are strongly opposed to the designation, and hopefully the information and data that's being provided today and in previous months, years, will help you decide, come up with the right decision on this matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for all this information. Do we have any other presenters?